Welcome back to ICE. It's great to be back, obviously in a new location here in Barcelona. I'm joined by my friend and longtime colleague, Adam Sachs, who is counsel and senior policy advisor for Dentons. Welcome to your first ICE.
Thank you. It's fabulous. It's clean, it's beautiful, there's a lot going on, and it's great to be in Barcelona.
That's good. Well, I know you're here in a later panel, later on today, to talk about sports and gaming and how they intersect. Maybe give those who are watching for the first time, give them a little bit of a preview of what you're going to talk about today.
Yeah. Well, I think the gambling world and the sports world they've been playing footsie with each other for the last 20 or 30 years in the United States, and I think we're at a point where those two industries can come together for the betterment of the American economy and for consumers in the United States. So we're seeing Brendan and I, and I have worked on a project, some of which still exist in our mind's eye, and others which are actually real tangible projects. I think over the next 5 or 10 years, a lot of that stuff that's just been circling in our minds is really going to become a reality as the sports industry in particular in the United States becomes much more comfortable in how to work together with gaming to better the experience for their fans and for the citizens around the country. So it's an exciting time to be a part of it.
Well, and obviously, most people when they come to this show, when they think of sports, they think sports betting. What does it mean? I mean, I can look out across the hall here and I can see tons of integrity monitoring and all of those things, which are obviously integral to the game, but you're just coming off working for the Kansas City Royals, working off a stadium project. As you guys were looking at that project, how much did entertainment in and around the stadium play a continuing role in the advocacy of that? Not just, hey, we're here for the game, but this is a 24/7, 365 experiential development.
So it's a great question. I had been the chief counsel to the Kansas City Royals Major League Baseball club the last 3 years, and we have been focused very much on bringing baseball downtown in kind of a mid-size American city, one of the smaller cities in the United States that has professional baseball. And the existing facility is out in a place that's not so compelling for other development. Bringing baseball in particular, with 162 games a year, to a more vibrant part of the city was part of the theory of the case on why I came to the Royals and why the new ownership group felt like we ought to be pursuing an opportunity down there. And the opportunity is not just about baseball, it's about entertainment. There was an e-gaming, esports concept that would have been included in the original proposal that went down by the voters this past April. There will probably be an esports component to any future development that the Kansas City Royals pursue, which is a little bit ahead of the game, I think, in North America and in the United States. We have a visionary owner in John Sherman with the Royals who saw that this ancillary development around a sports stadium can unlock value for the ownership group, but it also can further engage fans and bring them down to an engaging, exciting venue more often than they typically do in a place like Kansas City, where there's a big parking lot and a baseball stadium, which is not as compelling when you're not going to see a baseball game.
One of the things that people are looking at here, and obviously you talked about some of the things going on in Las Vegas, but being that ICE is such a global gaming show, and as the phrase I always used to coin, it's where the gaming world comes to do business. As it starts to embrace sports more than just from the sports betting side, how do these developments, whether they be in the United States or Asia or Europe or wherever else, what are the key things they need to look for in trying to develop these along the way?
Well, I think that the challenge is that the gaming industry has become more sophisticated at addressing. There's always going to be sort of built-in kind of moral-based opposition to a lot of these projects, including especially when they involve gaming. I think that the gaming world and their experience is getting people comfortable that a regulated, sort of safer environment for play is kind of the way to go. There needs to be educating, and there needs to be sophisticated early community development efforts on these projects in order for them to succeed. And frankly, a lot of professional sports organizations, arguably the one I just left working for, was not maybe as proactive when it came to community development and the external affairs work that needs to be done with public officials. And the lessons that the gaming world can bring to the sports world is something that might untap that potential for some of these large projects, both in the States and around the world. Former President Fox from Mexico was speaking about those challenges in Mexico, where there had been a sort of a public pushback against further casino development in Mexico. He understands that with a regulated product, there's a lot of benefit to having a sophisticated industry behind it. It will help check against the corruption that perhaps the politicians are more susceptible to than the folks who are actually from the industry. And those kind of lessons from gaming really have application in the sports development world. And I think, it's a long answer, I'm sorry, Brendan.
No, you're good.
But I do think that in the wake of COVID, there is less commercial office development in downtown communities around the world, around the globe. And more of these concert venues, these sports venues, these gaming related venues are going to drive the economies around the world, and they're going to promote jobs and enhance the tax base. And by educating the public on the benefits of that, and gaming can help, I think these projects can survive and again thrive, unlike in the past where the projects you and I have worked on haven't necessarily come to fruition. Some have, some haven't. I think we're going to have greater success as these casinos and the sports world in particular come together to promote these kind of multi-purpose entertainment options.
You talk about the symbiotic relationship between gaming, sports, and entertainment, and hospitality comes into that across the board over that. As someone, if they were sitting here going, okay, how do I start this from the ground up? What do I need to do if I'm a Marina Bay Sands and I'm building an arena attached to my facility, versus a startup in, say, the United States that's saying, hey, I'm building a new venue, whether it be, the A's are building in Las Vegas and supposed to be attached. What are those key components to make that work that from a development side you guys have looked at and some of the stuff you're working on currently with Dentons?
Yeah, so I think that Tip O'Neill once said, the former Speaker of the House in the United States, all politics is local. So we're at a global gaming forum here. We're talking to potential business partners from around the world, all of whom need to recognize that all politics is local. And so if they have an interest in a particular jurisdiction, they need to figure out who knows who in that setting. And they need to hire people locally. They need to be guided by global advisors who have been around the block and have seen these things. But they also have to be driven more by engaged political folks, community leaders, communications people, real estate people, as opposed to relying on somebody sitting on their couch halfway around the world. So you can go get this stuff done, but it's got to start at the very basic local level.
Very good. Anything you're particularly looking forward to here at the show besides, obviously, talking
Well, it's
sports?
been great to see you. I loved the presentation by the former president of Mexico that recently happened upstairs. I'm looking forward to seeing the town and also seeing the exhibit space. So Barcelona is beautiful. I've been here less than 24 hours. I've got 3 of my 4 bags lost right now somewhere in this world, but I got the right one with my suit. I'm ready to go.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you for joining us at the ICE studio.
Yeah.
And looking forward to hearing your talk later on this afternoon and enjoying your first ICE of many more to come.
Thank you, Brendan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.